Hello, fellow crypto users, Amun token holders, and all the hodlers out there. My name is 𝕝𝕝𝕝𝕠𝕝 and I'm one of the community managers here at Amun. Welcome to the first episode of the Inside Crypto podcast. This episode was recorded on July 29th, 2021. Today we interview our VP of Tokens, James Wang. Coming from a diverse background, he fills us in on what Amun does, where the company is going, and what we can expect in the future. We also touch on some news topics, including the DeFi Summer, where the smart money is going in crypto next. Hint, it's NFTs. And Crypto.com uses doubling. Does that mean more people are getting into crypto? Thanks everyone for listening, and don't forget to tune in next week where we interview another member of the team and get their insights into the fascinating world of crypto. Hello everyone, my name is 𝕝𝕝𝕝 and I am one of the community managers here at Amun Tokens. Today is going to be the first episode of a show introducing the company and its products, as well as delving into the hottest crypto news. The market has been all over the place the last few weeks and maybe even few months. I mean, today we went up to 40 and down and up to 40 and down in Bitcoin. How many times? I don't know. We hope this podcast will provide you with some insight into the DeFi industry and the cryptosphere as a whole. Before we get too deep down the rabbit hole, let's take a step back and chat with our head of tokens, James Wang. James, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hey, 𝕝𝕝𝕝, thanks for having me. This is our first podcast, so very excited to be doing this. My background is, in crypto land, they would call it TradFi, wouldn't they? Traditional finance. I came from a company that some folks might have heard of called ARK Invest. We're founded in 2014, focused on kind of investing in disruptive technologies. Cathie Wood was the founder, and I joined pretty much very quickly after. I was at 6 years at ARK. It was an incredibly fruitful journey. Got to see kind of the latest way and the most innovative way to build investing products in traditional finance. And I think that really gave me a taste for how impactful these products can become. When I started, the ARK ETFs had something like $20 million in AUM. And by the time I left, it was like $50 billion. It wasn't even on the right order of magnitude in terms of what I was expecting. I don't think any of us had any notion it would turn out that way. But sometimes the journey does deliver. So that's my background. Before that, I was working gaming products, gaming software at NVIDIA. That was extremely fun. It's the best job anyone out of school can possibly hope for. And really my thinking now, I was taking a break and really with no clear intention in mind, other than just to dabble with what's exciting and happening in crypto, because crypto clearly started warming up in not just a price way, but in a user and functionality perspective toward the end of last year. And eventually I got so into it that I started talking to folks about, what to do in the industry. Cathie actually made the intro to 𝕍𝕝𝕝, the CEO of Amun. So we started talking. And a few weeks later, here I am. So I'm, I think, like 2 months into the role at Amun. So very excited.
Wonderful. Talking more about Amun, I absolutely love the slogan on the Amun page. If our audience who are watching the video later, or if you're listening to the podcast, if you haven't checked it out, go to www.amun.com, amun.com. The slogan is awesome. It says, take the guesswork out of DeFi. James, why don't you tell us a little bit about Amun, how you came to join them? I mean, you talked about 𝕍𝕝𝕝 as well, but I mean, maybe a bit more details. And what else Amun does besides that really awesome slogan?
Sure. DeFi, or decentralized finance, is very exciting for those who follow it. I would say, though, most people in the world doesn't even know what it is. Decentralized finance is in contrast to centralized finance. And centralized finance, of course, is what we've been using this whole time. Banks and credit unions, traditional financial institutions, them being invented was a huge innovation and laid the ground rails for so much of what we're doing in the economy today. But it is not without its problems, and it's not beyond improvement. We've seen that basically for any given technology, the second you transform it from, call it fixed function, into programmable or code, you just see an explosion of innovation. Traditional finance is built on a set of not very programmable rails, and it kind of exists within a very stiff regulatory framework, which is why not much has really changed in the last 20, 30 years or so. Decentralized finance is built on an entirely new kind of an infrastructure. The underlying bits have changed. Instead of being built on ACH and kind of these and Fedwire and things like that, it is built on public blockchains. So these are platforms like Ethereum that allow anyone in the world to provide the infrastructure, that allow the code to be entirely transparent, And more importantly, it allows anyone to deploy applications to it with practically no friction. Because the blockchain, any of these given blockchains are built on top of the internet rather than on top of telco and other infrastructure, and the internet is a global standard. The biggest thing to appreciate about DeFi is that it is global by default and only becomes regional as a result of regulation. So if, for example, in my last capacity at ARK, we're launching ETFs. Every ETF we launch is an ETF we launch in the US. And then if we want to, we have to go to another country and then apply in that country's jurisdiction and say, hey, in the UK, can we launch this? Or can we launch a UCITS in the EU region? Can we launch a mutual fund in Japan? It's region by region by region because these financial products are regulated on a country level. At a country level. Decentralized finance is an internet application. So it has the same spirit and distribution characteristics as YouTube. When you launch it, it's available everywhere where there's an internet connection. And it only becomes not available if someone takes explicit action to stop it. So the footprint is so much higher. As a result, the number of customers it can reach is far greater in a single moment. And the rate of innovation and how it can attract capital is far more fluid. So it is really very exciting. And it's already giving people lots of new applications. I think people who are very much interested in investing in the future and what comes next after the prior wave of innovation, this is kind of where the focal point is.
Fantastic. That explains a lot about DeFi, and I'm sure people who are listening to the podcast for the first time and are interested in DeFi will find that explanation awesome. I mean, I've been participating in it, and that was still really interesting to listen to. Tell us about Amun. Tell us about the company we both work for and what is exciting about the things that we do.
Yes. Amun, so in kind of DeFi or in the crypto world, there are broadly two kind of categories of organizations. There are projects or DAOs or decentralized autonomous organizations. These are kind of grassroots organizations, and there's not a traditional company attached. This is kind of like, some of the, more avant-garde projects are built this way. And in contrast, and of course, there are companies like Coinbase, companies like FTX, even Uniswap is a company. Amun is a company that is building DeFi products. And the products we build are designed to make investing in DeFi much easier and pain-free. We launched two such products last month. One is called, the Amun DeFi Index, DFI, and the other one is the Amun DeFi Momentum Index, DMX. Those are the respective tickers. Each of these are index products, just kind of like, the S&P 500 or the ARKK ETF. They give you a bundle of assets in a single unit that you can buy, so that when you buy this one thing, you get exposure to a bunch of other things that of course gives you natural diversification characteristics and broad exposure characteristics. Both DFI and DMX are indexes of DeFi projects with 8 projects underneath. DFI picks the largest 8 market cap projects and allocates them equal weight, roughly speaking. And so that gives you very, very good, like, blue chip DeFi exposure. And DMX is more like built like a smart trader. So it chases momentum. So if you are a pro momentum strategy, and not everyone is, DMX essentially picks the 8 DeFi projects with the fastest price appreciation. So it kind of automates that process of finding the hottest new thing if you view it from a price perspective. So one is very much kind of like a fairly traditional, I would say, portfolio construction. The only kind of, I think, opinion we take there is that we set it equal weight rather than market cap weight. And with DMX, it's like degen, but on autopilot, if you will. So if you're like chasing performance and you can't keep up and you want some automated way to kind of find the things that are constantly like bubbling up the kind of coin market cap charts, DMX is kind of that product.
Thank you very much for the explanation. That clarifies the tokens, definitely towards like who would be interested in it. I do have one question, and the thing I'd like to touch on is what you said is like it takes the pain out of it. So, I mean, what is some of the pain that traditional DeFi users that would say, oh my God, this is the perfect product for me? Why should they be purchasing DFI tokens while they should be thinking about DMX? What is the advantage? What is the reduction in pain, as you said?
The reduction in pain is just simplicity and getting your time back. If you've been an equity investor, it's pretty time consuming. It's not like if you want to be involved in listening to every earnings call and reading press releases and reading special posts on Seeking Alpha, it will take up as much time as you have. And with all that effort, you may not even do that well. That's why like ARK's products were so appealing, I think, because it did all the work for you, and it charged you a very, very reasonable fee for it. With the Amun products, it's exactly the same kind of value proposition. Crypto moves at an even faster speed than TradFi. There are you can't IPO companies without filing paperwork, right? You can't IPO companies with no product. With SPACs now you can. But generally speaking, you have to be kind of a real thing before you can just IPO a company. The thing with Amun is, or the thing with crypto is, you can launch token projects practically on just a few people and a semi-working website, right? That's enough to launch a token. And each token launch is accompanied with a bunch of information, community members, technical founders that has no coverage in terms of the traditional research people expect from investing. So if you IPO a company, a bunch of bankers write a bunch of reports, interview your staff, there's a very thick S1 associated with it. You launch a project like YFI or something, it's a hope and a prayer, and you hope Andre is doing the right thing. So basically what I'm saying is it's as hard as equities is to keep up with. DeFi is 10x, 100x harder. Taking out the guesswork. Why do we say that? It's just essentially us building products that are simple enough that if your perspective on this is, I want to invest in DeFi, but I don't care to follow each new project and what's a scam, what's not a scam, and spend hours in Telegram. This is a great way to get broad-based exposure in DeFi. And the chance of being rugged or scammed is much lower. We essentially have size and filtering characteristics that will tend to, especially for DFI. DFI, all the projects are so large. I mean, they're extremely well vetted. So you don't have to be afraid of those things. And also they will auto balance on their own. In crypto, in TradFi, the trading fees have gone to zero. In crypto, the trading fees are actually extremely high. It's called gas fees on Ethereum, right? It's the fee you use to pay for using the blockchain, and that can add up to a lot over time. And in traditional investment, that reducing fees is a key component of getting very good long-term returns. So these products also automate some of these features, and so that you don't have to constantly actively trade it around. So simpler portfolio construction, lower fees versus like you trading around individually. And also if you're choosing something like DMX, the process of finding the next hot thing is kind of incorporated in the construction. So a lot of the complexity is taken out so that you could be, you could get on with your day job, whether you're, a developer or a forest ranger, and just put some money into these products and know that you have exposure so that next time crypto blows up, you're at least, allocated somewhat, or, you have some allocation in this sector.
I totally agree. And that's one of the reasons when James first interviewed me, and he talked about the DeFi token, I was like, wow, all these people who endlessly ask me questions, what is DeFi? What is crypto? I'm like, oh, guys just got to go to the Amun site and purchase some tokens. So talking about tokens, if you're watching on YouTube, you're not going to be able to see this today. I will incorporate this once I cut and dice this video and show you guys how to actually purchase tokens on Amun. But for people who are listening to the podcast, James, could you sort of briefly, to the best of your ability, walk us through how you could purchase DFI tokens or DMX tokens?
Yeah, sure. If you have purchased any crypto tokens before off a decentralized exchange like Uniswap, this is as simple as that. I would say because these are decentralized finance products, they are not by default applicable on centralized exchanges such as Coinbase and Robinhood. Working to list such tokens on these products is extremely regulatory heavy. So that doesn't happen instantly. But it takes almost no effort to have a crypto wallet of your own through MetaMask. You can watch any intro into kind of setting up MetaMask on YouTube. We don't have to make that video again. There's plenty of great tutorials. So it takes you 5 minutes, perhaps. It essentially gives you the equivalent of an email address, but for crypto or, money. And once you have that set up, you can transfer, and you probably already have a Coinbase account if you're watching this, right? So you just transfer some currency of your choice. It can be Ether, it can be USDC as stablecoin into your MetaMask account. So long it's a ERC20 token or an Ethereum standard-based token, that will work. And from there, you can purchase our DFI or DMX tokens on our website, Amun.com. You can purchase it on Uniswap, which is the most popular exchange. That's just Uniswap. Is it .io.com? I don't know. Uniswap. Just look it up. Yes. And that will exchange essentially what you have in your wallet, whether you put in USDC or Ether into Amun tokens, whether it's DFI or DMX. If you're purchasing a small quantity, and by small, I would say it's like maybe a few $1,000, $2,000 or less, just exchanging or swapping your tokens for Amun's tokens will be perfectly fine. The fees will be quite low. The slippage, which is kind of like how much before the price changes, is quite low. If you're purchasing relatively larger amounts, 5 figures or above, it is more price efficient to mint the tokens. Minting means we actually go out there and buy all the underlying and create a new unit. It's like a traditional market making action in traditional finance. And the good thing about minting is it's not capacity limited. If you try to buy too much, you can move the price, and also you move the there's not enough in the call it liquidity pool, which is how the exchange on Uniswap works, so that the price might become less advantageous to you. It slips as you buy more, right? Because you are influencing the price, and we're such early in this product that like an individual investor buying 5 figures can actually move the price by 4 or 5% or more. So it is more efficient to mint, which is to create a new unit rather than to look into the existing pool and say, does anyone else have some they want to give me? You can mint on Amun.com. That's why Uniswap doesn't do minting. This is code we create, and it's quite standard for many protocols like this. And yeah, it just takes a bit. There's a longer time between when you click mint and when you get it back. The fees are on the order of like $50, $80, and it's a constant fee. That sounds like a large amount, but that is the same number whether you mint, $10,000 worth or $100,000 worth. That's a constant fee. That's why it's more cost efficient for larger quantities. But that's like all the information at any level of detail. If you just want to buy some, I would, for people getting started, it's always best just to try a little, because that way you don't expose yourself. It is really about learning in the beginning. Experienced folks are very familiar with all these mechanics. But for people in the beginning, it's really all about learning. For me, when I see a new project I like, it's always, I'll just buy a small amount just to get a feel, just to see what the community is like, and then go from there. So swaps are the easiest way. Do it on Uniswap, do it on our website. You can do it on 𝕬𝕉, which is our partner as well. And they have a great interface that shows you and helps you manage all your DeFi projects and all your kind of investing. And yeah, all those 3 places are good. MetaMask is easy to set up. It takes about 5 minutes. Watch any tutorial on YouTube, and off you go. You're on your DeFi journey.
3 places, just as James said. I'll mention again 𝕬𝕉, Amun website, and Uniswap. Just Google Uniswap as well, because I also don't remember whether it's .io or .com or .app or something like that. Crypto websites always have various interesting website addresses. Okay, James, moving on. You're a busy person. I don't want to keep you too long. As somebody who works for Amun, somebody who's concerned about the future, people who are watching this later on our newly created YouTube website, tell us what you allowed to tell us, what you can tell us. What is the future of Amun? What products are in the pipeline, or maybe you can mention that, but where do you see Amun going? Where would you like Amun to go from a personal perspective?
I think I joined not because DFI and DMX are, like these will be the final battle to be fought, right? This is the opening salvo. And this is literally our 2 first products. It's like books on Amazon. It's literally the first product category. I see, I work with Haney and the product and engineering team very closely, and they're cooking up there's some amazing stuff in the pipeline. And I think spiritually speaking, the goal of our coming products is you will see stuff from us later this year, very, very soon. We plan to launch a number of products later this year. They will not be like any products that exist on the market today. DFI and DMX has some similar products, but the ones we have coming out will be entirely original product categories. So I think that's very exciting. It takes a lot of like hard engineering lift and problem solving to do. So I think I'm very excited to see how the market reacts to those products. And from a philosophical perspective, in crypto, you're always being forced to choose between one camp or another. Are you a Bitcoin maximalist? Are you an ETH? Do you believe the future is Cardano? You're always being forced to like pick between these things. I'd say philosophically, what draws me to Amun, it's highly agnostic in terms of how it views blockchain technologies. It will build whatever technologies that has actual traction in the market. So expect us to embrace all of these kind of blockchain primitives, if you will. We have a sister company called 21 Shares, and it issues everything. It issues products that I may not personally believe in, but other people personally believe in. And I can't say with a straight face that my perspective is somehow objectively more legitimate than the next person, right? We all have perspectives on technologies. Developers all have preferences on which programming language is awesome and which is, insufferable. So we have a very open and kind of agnostic way of kind of looking at these products, and expect us to launch and really embrace all these platforms and kind of make it easy to access all these other platforms.
Just as you were talking and seeing the excitement on your face, I can feel like the electricity in my body. I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait for the next few months as well to see what launches. And I mean, that's really why I love Amun as well, is bringing all this stuff to regular people who, people like me, sort of like beginner, sort of amateurish crypto people. And we get questions from other like people who don't know anything. And I think Amun is going to be the solution. And at a base level, DFI and maybe DMX, and then whatever else Amun comes up with in the future. Okay, so plenty of stuff about Amun. Before we end off, I mean, I actually anticipated this to be a lot longer, but I mean, we'll try to round off about the 30-minute mark or so. I found out some news in the last few hours. I did paste it in the script. I don't know if you had a chance to look at it yet, but I will read you the headline. This is from Yahoo Finance. The headline is DeFi Summer is here. The blockchain is heating up. What do you think about what's going to happen? I mean, it is sort of moving towards the end of summer. What do you see happening with DeFi in the next 2 to 3 months?
I think, last year we had this DeFi Summer, and it was a complete wild ride of just kind of farming from tokens to tokens, from yams to sushi to it was a never ending train. And it took pretty much everyone by surprise. I think this DeFi Summer is clearly not the same level of madness and intensity as the last one. And I think it's don't extrapolate and just expect history to repeat, especially by seasons. Like crypto doesn't care if it's summer or not, right? But what is happening for sure is that a new technology layer got built over the last year. L2s and sidechains got built. And that's a real and substantial development. For those who are into this, you already know what I'm talking about. But if you're new to this space, essentially the L1 or the layer 1 are the fundamental blockchain pieces like Ethereum, Tezos and things like that. This is where applications are built on top of. But these L1s, you've always heard about this issue with capacity. They can only do 15 transactions per second or something like that. And Visa can do 100,000 transactions per second. So capacity has always been the issue for the base layer, because the base layer has such a strong job of guaranteeing security that it can't work any faster. If it worked faster, it would have to have worse security. So the speed is kind of dictated by the level of security that's the whole point of a blockchain. If you made it faster, you could just do it in one computer. You don't have the blocks or the nodes talk to each other, but then you don't have a blockchain anymore. You just have one computer with a database, right?
Right.
So layer 2s are kind of data structures and methods built on top of layer 1s that can basically bundle transactions and take them together and process them more efficiently. So layer 2s come in the form of things like Optimism and ZK Sync. These are technologies built using rollups. They're a category called rollups. But essentially, they're bundles of transactions together, and they increase the throughput of the system by maybe 100, maybe a couple of 100x. And this just reduces fees dramatically. You can build it on top of existing L1s, or you can build them on the side, kind of attached to them, that kind of share resources with them. The most popular kind of that model using the kind of the side chain or a commit chain model is a protocol called Polygon. And Polygon has really just blown up after people saw that Binance Smart Chain could have so many users and so many applications, really high kind of farming rewards, right? So from last year to this year, we now have layer 2s that really kind of roll up or compress transactions, and that once fully deployed, they're just getting deployed right now, offer 100x or more in throughput. And then you have side chains attached to Ethereum like Polygon that also just offer multiple orders of magnitude of performance improvement. So a lot of the DeFi summer applications and hotness has moved to these L2s, and people chasing yield are now going to these ancillary chains for yields. You know, there are some pools out there with pretty high APYs, double digit, triple digit, but I think nothing so far is as crazy as last year. So people shouldn't really just expect replay year by year, but kind of try to understand what the fundamental technology offers. And I think it's worth exploring these layer 2s, because they're like, you know, it's like we went from flat single story houses to skyscrapers. They now stack. I think it gives you a sense of where things are going, what the capacity can be. And I think everyone should maybe try one of these protocols so that they understand it better and have a sense of where we can go from here.
That is absolutely wonderful analogy and some wonderful advice, you know, especially in the sense of Polygon. I think that's been in the news so much. Not to mention some of these other layer 2 projects, which are fantastic things that you should definitely Google if you're interested in this stuff. Or maybe if you're not interested, if you just want to learn more about the space, that's something I would definitely suggest. All right, we're going to move on to the second headline. The second headline is on fortune.com. Again, today's news, where the smart money in crypto investing is going next. It talks about Andreessen Horowitz and Kathy Wood & Ark. And basically, the point of this article is they talk about NFTs and that where money are going into NFTs. And if you're following the space, you know, there was a NFT bubble and things have gone down, but there've always been some NFT hype with a kid in India. He made 160,000 US selling 350 whale NFTs. You know, he's like 12 years old or something like that. And I think that's wonderful. I mean, you know, expressing yourself and making money for your family, and 160K US will go a long way in India. Is that where you see things going? Or, I mean, are NFTs still going to be a thing? We actually just posted it on Amun today on the Twitter as well. I should mention that you should go check out Amun tokens on Twitter. We're going to post up some really cool things in a few weeks.
Yeah, I put up a poll like what happened with NFTs, because NFTs kind of died and then now it's kind of coming back. So like, what happened with NFTs? Is it A, back from the dead, or is it B, dead man walking? And most people voted back from the dead. 78%. That's very high conviction. I don't know if I have that much conviction, but I think it's really a matter of time frame. Here's an interesting. Okay, so NFTs started blowing up toward. And first of all, NFTs is not a single kind of a category in terms of. It is a single kind of a technology, but it manifests in different medium. It can be for artwork, it can be for music, it can be for gaming assets. And I think toward the end of last year, NFT art started blowing up in a very big way. January, everything went 10x. Everything in crypto in January went 10x, whether it's DeFi or NFTs. So it's like, if you did make money during that period, it almost doesn't count. But with NFTs, you know, platforms like Nifty Gateway was doubling revenue not year on year, month on month, every month. And we saw NFT artwork as a category really just basically implode in around April, May. And people are like, you know, this was a scam to begin with, and now it's dead. What's totally changed in the last month is a game called Axie Infinity started blowing up in a big way. Axie's been around for a long time. It's been in development and for many years, but it's really in the last 2 months or so that it's caught like a new kind of wave of growth. I think they have, what is it, 500,000 daily active users or something like that. It is.
That, yes, you're right.
It's not just. It's like gaining adoption in the same way as a traditional game or social network is gaining adoption. And it's a play to earn model. So the more time you spend in the game, the more value you can earn from it. And it's so lucrative that people in developing countries, people in the Philippines will just play the game to earn stuff and then sell it for ether and then dollars, right? So it's people's livelihoods. I think the fact that it's actually solved a real problem, like it generates wages, is what's so compelling. We've never had a game that really did that. Yes, you could theoretically help someone level up, grind their like WoW characters back in the day. But this NFT thing is completely off. Once again, it's on crypto rails, so it's not at the mercy of Blizzard. The tokens can be traded on Uniswap. So it's extremely liquid market, globally recognized, and it's just developed an economy on its own. So that's why I think for the sector of the NFTs related to gaming, it's blown up. On artwork, it's fascinating. It's not uniformly dead. Nifty Gateway, which curates, pretty well-known artists, that platform has definitely, it went double, like month on month, and then it like halved on month on month. So that one, the sales there have kind of like not really recovered. But if you look at OpenSea, which is not curated, which is just like eBay, but for NFT artwork, or not even artwork, NFT anything, any ERC 721, OpenSea has continued to grow month on month. It's recovered since the dip and now is reaching all-time highs. That's very interesting. That's kind of signaling that the space is very broad, and like outside of tier one artists that list on traditional or curated platforms like Nifty, there's still a huge amount of demand, and new projects can still attract attention, even though supposedly for the last 6 weeks, people have been beat over the head with the narrative NFTs are dead. And things like Bored Apes and newer projects, I can't even follow them. Even though they're in theory, infinity such new projects that can be made, the good ones are still getting traction, and the overall revenues and active wallets are actually up over, I think, the peak in March or so. So very different segments of the market. It kind of shows the vitality of the space, I think. Just because some artists or a bunch of like traditional artists who dropped on Nifty might not have done well, and a bunch of people underwater, it does not mean the whole space is dead. Like it's people are generating new work, and they're always kind of new customers who are drawn to the battle for attention. They can still find stuff that's relevant for them, and the aggregate sales can still grow. So that has surprised me, but I think it's an incredible bullish sign for the industry.
NFTs are just amazing. Like you said, I think that's a key point. Is a lot of media sort of tends to focus on the art, but it's music, it's anything else. It's the coolest thing about NFTs I like is that it's you've never seen about it, it's verifiable on the blockchain, which is awesome. It's something that actually belongs to you. So many other organizations are doing it. I think the MLB or the NBA were doing NFTs as well. It's a fantastic technology. All right, James, I'm going to hit you with the last piece of news today, which is from CoinDesk as well. I had to throw them in there. It says crypto users numbers double in 6 months, which is basically crypto.com. It just says that they've just got more users. And is there an explanation? Are more people finding out about crypto? I mean, the answer is obviously yes, but why are more people getting into crypto in 2021, towards June, July, moving into August? Why are people moving into the space?
Okay, so this number, 220 million crypto users in June, is this doubling since? Oh yeah, it's doubling in 6 months. So it's comping to January. So that's not surprising, right? I think the key question, because everything doubled and everything 10x in January, so that brought a bunch of people over. I think what this number is probably actually lower than the peak in maybe March or April, if I had to guess. What do you think? Do you feel like there's more chatter now or 2 months ago?
I mean, I think the chatter 2 months ago, personally, from an observational, standpoint, was just basically, okay, money, Bitcoin 60K, Ethereum 3,500, gas fees are expensive, that sort of stuff. But I think what I find that the chatter now is sort of like adoption, of course, with El Salvador, with ETFs lying on the SEC's desk. the latest news I saw was a pro mutual saying, hey, we're going to launch a crypto mutual fund as well, which I thought was fantastic as well. And a lot of, maybe not mainstream adoption, but a lot of different sectors saying, okay, we're going to give this a try. Or JP Morgan saying, okay, we're not going to stop you guys from investing in crypto. If you want, we will help you. That sort of stuff. And I think that sort of lends credence, reassures people who are unsure. And I've mentioned that to you and another community manager, David, as well. I think as a lot of people, new people, come to me, come to other people, friends of yours, friends of mine, say, I want to do this, but I'm scared. And this news helps comfort people. So I think it's now the news is sort of positive and increasing people's interest as opposed to it being price centric before. It's now positive news centric.
A lot of the, I guess, bad news has been flushed out. The whole China Bitcoin mining things, that's over. Hash rates are now at all-time highs.
Yes.
So I think the space got tested in the maybe Q2, and now the foundations are a little firmer. And there's talk of regulation. There's always talk of regulation, but I think like every time something like that clears up, crystallizes, it's actually creates more certainty for the industry and easier for adoption. So I'm not surprised. I think it's probably down from the all-time highs, but certainly it should be higher than January. The real question is, which way are we trending, and how does it look at the end of the year? I think with L2s, with Ethereum and EIP 1559, it's like the chatter should be positive for the next quarter or two.
Definitely. All right. And I mean, we've already been going on roughly for about 40 minutes. And James, do you want to add anything before we sign off? Anything you want to add? Any last minute tidbits, pearls of wisdom?
Yeah, I think if you want to follow us, just like if you want to know what we're going to do next and make sure you are plugged in, follow us on Twitter, Amun Tokens. I think, if you're like a Discord person, we have a great Discord going as well. Expect us to do lots more media and content like this in the future. We have a great research team that's doing weekly newsletter research and digest for crypto. So if you like Plugged In, this is we have a lot of good stuff coming, and we have a lot of exciting projects coming. So I can't wait to show you guys.
I can't wait to be part of this as well. I'm so excited to be part of Amun. Like James said, follow us on Twitter. I will include our Discord link in the show notes. So if you're listening on your podcast, if you're on Apple, unfortunately, you're going to have to Google amun.com because Apple don't allow links in show notes anymore. If you're on Android, you're lucky. You can just click on your podcast app and it'll take you to our Discord. It'll take you to our Telegram. It'll take you to our Twitter. Have a look for those. And have a look. Next week, we'll be doing another podcast for sure. We're not sure who we're going to have on yet. I'll have to chat to James afterwards. But it's going to be someone as awesome as James. I got to say, you are just probably the best podcast host or best podcast interview I've ever had in like 9-10 months of doing podcasts. You explained everything. You didn't talk about any confusing terminology. It was an awesome way.
Great host. Don't sell your short. You're a really, really great host.
No. I mean, I'm just literally, after I finish editing this, I'm going to be sending this out to all the people who endlessly ask me questions. Thanks for being here, James. Maybe we could have you on again in a few months' time, once things launch, the exciting things you're talking about.
I think we should spin this up. We should have we should bring our engineers on. We should bring Annie on. I think it should be like a very lively and constantly with rotating guests. There should be like those late night TV show with the special guests and panels.
David Letterman and that sort of stuff. Though I think David Letterman is too old now. I gotta remember who are the new people for late night shows.
I really like Up Only TV, what Kobe does. So something.
Oh yes.
It's like very fluid, and we have all kinds of people come in.
Wonderful. Okay, so everyone, follow us on Twitter. Go to amun.com, purchase some tokens as well if you want to give it a try. And we will see you again, at least within a week, if not sooner than that, if we can get something else going. And James, thanks for being here, and look forward to chatting you again on our Amun Tokens podcast sometime soon.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.